A very good evening and a thunderously warm welcome to this week's very first episode of Two Full Tossers, which will also be this week's final episode, but a great episode nonetheless for this week. And it's one which shows us moving into brand new commercial territory, as this week's episode of Two Full Tossers is brought to you very proudly by the Sudanese Cricket Federation, which was in fact only formed this morning on the back of the Sudanese football team having beaten Bafana, and then thinking, well, if we can beat them at football, we can probably do it at cricket as well, which is the perfect note to introduce somebody who, it is still scandalous, has never represented South Africa at cricket. And I know it still keeps him awake sometimes in the small hours of the morning. A very good evening, Alan Committie.
Dan Nicholl, thank you, sir. You're quite right. I barely represented my school at the time of playing for my school, and yet I still dream. I dream every night of representing my country at cricket. I'm 47. Those dreams haven't dwindled, not one iota. And on this day, Monday, in a month which I think has 419 public holidays, which just drift quietly into more holidays and then more holidays on top of that. I'm so happy to spend some time with you in the company, I hope, of an interesting guest. I don't know who yet, but I'm kind of excited. And to talk things cricket.
Indeed. And to talk representing your country, because, Alan Committie, I think that it could still happen. Now, whether it's possibly on the field and you become the Skulk Brits of cricket, I'm not sure. But there is a gap for you. And I'm going to introduce that gap in just a moment, because it's something you and I feel very, very, very passionate about. But before we do that, 82% of the people who tune in on a weekly basis do so to find out who our weekly Alan's Lost Legend is. Now, you don't tell us until a little later. The excitement mounts and bubbles as the show unfolds, but let's get a first glimpse of this great cricketer you've dug up. And I have...
There he is. Look at that. Now, this man is no Lee Barnard, and yet he is a lost legend from a team that I supported growing up and loved. A fantastic, well, was he a bowler or a batsman? Maybe you know. Why don't you... put your guess or your answer into the little chat box, and we'll find out a little later who this lost legend is.
Oh, look, he's got a fabulous tie, which I always feel is a very good start.
Your tie is a remarkable one as well, sir. Look at that. Beautiful.
Yes, thank you. We're worn specially for a great occasion, because I'm truly excited about our guest this evening. I'm going to introduce him very shortly. Before we do that, before we even talk about the week's cricket and the Dolphins and the Titans and India and England and Dean Conway versus Bangladesh, the Members' Council versus the interim board. Now, we're not going to get into the politics of this, because it would take us weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. But I think the time has come, and I feel most South Africans would agree with us, Alan, that the time has come to get rid of both of them, get rid of the board, get rid of the Members' Council, and simply have a cricketing benign dictatorship run by you and me together jointly. I cannot see a better solution to the impasse that is cricket in South Africa.
You see, you only speak truth, you speak wisdom. You're absolutely right. What I would allow as my first act, with your agreement, of course, is for the rest of that board, or our, whatever we'd call ourselves, the council, would be the women's Proteas side. The only people at the moment are playing any decent cricket. And if we haven't congratulated them at least once this week, we should do it right now on this Monday night for whatever they've done. They've probably done nothing, and yet it's still brilliant.
Well, as a parent, I felt there was actually a need for a name change. And so I was at Home Affairs this morning. In fact, I'm actually still outside Home Affairs at the moment, but I've got most of it done. And so I've officially changed the name to Shabneem Mignon Laura Lara Ayanda Nicholl, and I've got a very happy son as a result. He is, and I think it's going to bode well for his future.
I'm a little emotional, actually, just hearing that. That's unbelievable. Well done, you.
Look, we're going to pick this up in more detail next week, because I've got a whole bundle of ideas, getting cricket back into the Olympics, more away tours to the West Indies. I think very, very important. We don't see nearly enough cricket being played in some of the bigger centres like Beaufort West, Beaufort East perhaps, Beaufort Northwest, which is very underrated, and in fact Beaufort Southeast, which is very high or perhaps low and slightly to the right of my agenda. So we're going to work on all of that next week. But let's get some actual cricket and the magic and intrigue and mystery of 5-day cricket over 3 days, when the first 2 days are rain. You called it, you said in Durban, it'll get light at 11:10 and get dark at 26 minutes past 11. And that was about it. And yet still we get a result. It is magical.
Well, to be fair, when we mentioned it in last week's episode, I didn't really realize the 4-day final was over 5 days, which strikes me as a bit strange. You don't play the T20 final as a 1-day international. It strikes me as a bit silly, but I liked it because ultimately it gave us a result. We only need 7 hours of actual playing time, in which if Border was playing, of course, they'd have been bowled out 14, 15 times over. But because it was the Titans, they only managed to get bowled out twice. And so well done, the Dolphins, them.
They've had a fabulous season. Wonderful to see spinners doing so well. Not quite so wonderful to see batsmen completely unable to play against spinners, but these are small things we can work on and we can develop. We've got an army of people watching. Michelle Carnos wants to know, can there be cheerleaders? Right, well, Michelle, you are now, I think you can now be on the board. I think that's a reasonable question to get somebody onto the board. And also saying that I love that everybody's watching Girl, except for Eric Scoble. There we go. Eric Scoble, who's watching as well somewhere in the southern suburbs of Cape Town in a car that probably doesn't belong to him. Okay, so that was our 3-day, 5-day, 4-day finished final, which wasn't remotely confusing. India clean sweeping England, and I think it's sort of kind of partly the result we wanted.
It was. And again, as we've said many times on this program, it gave me great pleasure yesterday, because I watched a lot of that game, to oscillate between hoping India would lose from a winning position and that that England would lose from a better losing position, and then finally that both sides would lose. And then when they finally did win, India, it was the better result, even though it made me slightly irritated. But England losing made me very happy. So all in all, a good viewing day. And well done, England, on not winning, on not winning anything, which is, I think, right.
All right. Well, as you said, we were a very neutral platform, and they lost everything. So we are completely neutral and dispassionate, and we congratulate them. And nonetheless, speaking of neutrality, Bangladesh versus Dean Conway, our system supporting cricket around the world is going marvelously.
Absolutely. And what a thrill to know that we are playing cricket. South Africa are still playing cricket almost every day somewhere in the world and doing extraordinarily well. We send out heroes and they don't disappoint, not one bit. And Bangladesh as well.
All right. Well, we're in for a great night tonight, because we've got an incredibly special guest who comes from a wonderful family of cricketers, and we're going to bring him on in just a moment. Before we do that, though, I think it's time to go back. People are champing at the bit, trying to work out who is Alan's lost legend.
There he is. He plays for the same side as our guest did many years later. And in fact, our guest's father would have been in the same mean machine in the 80s and perhaps early 90s. This, of course, is our lost legend this very Monday. It's none other than Hollywood star. And he does look at Neil Radford. Yes, Neil Radford. There he is. Oh, someone called that out. Good for them. And Neil Radford, of course, fantastic fast bowler, used to open the bowling for the mean machine back in the 80s, of course, played for England. There he is in action. Who could ever forget that action? Languid arms. And look at him. He looks like the cross between John Stamos from Full House and David Hasselhoff. If they had had a child, it would be Neil Radford. And not only a brilliant bowler, but also able to wield the mightiest of long handles. I remember on many occasions watching him in action and smashing balls to all sides from, I think, a number 9 batting position. I think he batted as low as 9 or 10 in that fantastic side. Neil Radford, he's no Lee Barnard. Let's be clear about that. But he is this week's lost legend.
And a fabulous legend of the game of cricket is. And he also shows us, Alan, just the art of the lost mop of hair. Now we have these kind of self-inflicted crew cuts. I don't know what Faf du Plessis is doing half the time. And it's just having that huge, luxuriant, clearly well-conditioned Buffon. I have this image of Neil Radford going off after bowling 8 overs just to have a light conditioning, and back on he comes. Now where is that today, I ask you, Alan Committie?
We're here today, gone tomorrow. I don't know what it is. It makes me sad, the condition of the hair. But we can only dream of that lost legend.
Well, look, I think we might be heading sort of back in the right direction, because I'm led to believe that our new Test captain, Dean Elgar, has got some of the most magnificent chest hair that the game of cricket has ever seen, which is fabulous. I'm hoping we can go back to those full button white shirts, open to the midriff, a couple of gold chains, maybe a crucifix. I think that could be him. But we can maybe get some advice on this from our special guest tonight. His father, one of the all-time greats. I'd argue he surpassed him with some magnificent innings for both Transvaal, then Gauteng, then the Strikers, then the Lions, then the Highland Strikers, then the Lion Strikers, then the Gauteng Highlanders, and then the Transvaal Gauteng Highlanders, and then the Lions. I think that's all of them. And then, of course, for South Africa, a very warm welcome to Stephen Cook.
Hey!
Evening, Dan. Hello, Alan. How are you?
Very well.
We are beside ourselves with excitement. Nicholl Radford, did you ever kind of play with him in the nets as a kid, lob balls to him, chase things after?
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, Dad, member of the Mean Machine. So yeah, I grew up on the banks of the Wanderers, really on the famous grass banks, and watching guys like Radford amongst many of those other great players of that era. Certainly, yeah, very fond memories of those times. So yeah.
At what point, before Alan Committie charges into his almost slightly awkward obsession with your father, at what stage did you begin to realize that your dad wasn't just dad, he was actually one of the single greatest cricketers on the planet?
Yeah, I mean, I remember memories of being a young boy, going out for dinner with Dad, and other kids would keep coming to our table and asking for his autograph, and I always thought that was a little bit odd until I realized who he was. And I mean, I suppose it was in an era where we weren't in international sport, and so sort of our domestic cricket heroes were sort of what was those players were in the flesh, and there wasn't the cricket on TV necessarily. So yeah, I always remember being slightly annoyed by the fact that Dad's probably been away on tour all week. I finally want to spend an evening with my dad, and he's having to sign his name to all these other kids. So yeah, probably a little bit jealous of that. But yeah, I grew up to sort of enjoy it and know the pros and cons that came with having a dad who was who he was.
Now, Stephen, this is episode 11 of this marvelous program, and sometimes we get 11 plus viewers as well. And they will know, as you will now, that I'm a bit of an 80s and 90s cricket man, and that was my growing up watching. And your dad was my ultimate hero, maybe because I was obsessed with the Mean Machine, but he was also not only superbly brilliant, and that in that combination with Henry Fathers at the top of the order, but he always seemed like the good guy. He really was. And with the Tom Selleck moustache happening there, I have an image of him. I was about 9 years old. My dad had taken me to Newlands, and we were sitting, and he was at mid-wicket, and someone hooked the ball, and it was going over the boundary, and he took half a step back. Today, of course, he would have leapt and pulled it back in, but players didn't know to do that back then. He took a step back, and he caught the ball right in front of my face. It felt like it anyway, one-handed, very casually, and lobbed it back and then signaled a six. In that moment, he might as well have been knighted. He could do no wrong, Jimmy Cook. And now I see in front of me a man with his visage. You've gone for the slightly more 2000. The bookie. It's not the. Is there not a chance of maybe going full Jimmy Cook on the moustache?
Well, let me tell you, Alan, many a fines meeting has been spent with the Lions boys, asking me to pull off the Jimmy. Encouraging me not to shave for a week or two, and then donning the Jimmy tash. But yeah, I've tried with all my might to get the old man to take that moustache off. I went so far as to peroxide my hair as part of we'll call it bet for him to take off the moustache, only for him to renege. So he's told me since the army that it's not come off, and it hasn't come off since. So yeah, I don't think if peroxiding my hair didn't do the trick, nothing was going to. But yeah, you spoke about all the hair and all of that. That's a hang of an era for the old facial hair and I suppose top of the head hair.
Well, that side had some great moustaches, didn't it? Clive Rice. It was a hairy group of men, a hairy motley crew, I think.
Oh dear. What? Just out of interest, because we're very focused on you here this evening. What's
Come
your
on.
dad up to now?
Yeah, no, the old man's still involved in cricket. He's got his own academy up in Johannesburg. Operates out of King Edward School. Yeah, and still coaching away there on top of the bowling machine, doing his thing. He loves it. Obviously working with the youngsters and trying to bring on the young players. So yeah, he's happy doing that, living his simple life, and off he goes. Yeah, so always good to touch base with the old man, and yeah, you always find him there in the nets.
You mentioned King Edward School. You of course went to King Edward School. I think it's still regarded as one of the top 250 schools in that particular part of Johannesburg, and rightly so. At that school, a couple of years above you, was a gentleman by the name of Graham Smith, who we know well. Now, if I think back, and Alan, you were actually a teacher for a while, admittedly with limited success, but a teacher nonetheless. And as a school teacher, you'll know one of the subjects that's taught at school is biology. And
Sure.
biology is a subject that introduces people to, how does one put this delicately, how children come to join us in the world and the mechanics therein. Did Graham Smith miss all of those classes at school, Stephen Cook?
Oh, Dad, I think I know where you've gone with that one. But yeah, the less I say about the man from CSA that I've got to deal with on a daily basis, and try to keep that relationship good. I mean, we don't need any more ding dongs between Saka and CSA. Let's put it that way.
I'm just hearing this. There's another Graham Smith baby's been born now. Is that? No, I don't know if that's true. I think that might be it coming in still.
Yeah, there was definitely one last week, but I'm not sure. I don't keep up to date with these things. It's like T20; it just happens all the time. Let's when Alan and I were sitting, we have a conference call every morning from our respective jacuzzis while having our feet massaged and flicking through past copies of Wisdom. We talked about why we love Stephen Cook, and obviously the first part is because you're Jimmy's son. The second part is because Jimmy's your dad, and then the third part is because we really, really love Jimmy Cook. But then we got on to why we love Stephen Cook, and we remembered in particular that record-breaking innings of yours, Stephen, that 390 glorious runs made over the space of 8 months, batting at the crease in glorious Technicolor splendor. And what we loved about it was, I remember we watched part of it together, and we went and had a round of golf, and then we came back, and then we actually went on a short holiday to Mauritius together, and we came back and you were still going, and you were just timeless at the crease. And I think that, Alan Committie, that is why this classic cricketer, this opener who could bat for weeks on end without really seeming to do much but still be there, was just why he's one of our all-time favorite cricketers, Alan.
There's no doubt about that. And that innings alone, extraordinary. You put Terence Lazard to shame. You put Shivran Shandapul to shame. To occupy a crease with that kind of concentration, extraordinary. Tell us about that innings. What do you remember? Why? 400, you were 10 short, but still 390, extraordinary. Tell us.
Well, I can't believe I didn't get picked up in the IPL auction after that. I mean, if ever there was an audition, surely. No, it was an incredible couple of days, and you laugh about the 400, but it speaks to the never satisfied attitude probably of cricketers and of batsmen and of humans in general. I remember distinctly walking off there being disappointed I hadn't got 400. An incredible couple of days. Most of it sort of blurs into a blockathon. At Buffalo Park, certainly good memories. But if I think back to those days, the first 30 or 40 balls I faced, I could have got out any ball. It really was like that. So yeah, I look back now as sort of one of those milestones in your career, and something I hope someone goes on to break. Hopefully they don't bat as long as I had to. But yeah, certainly something I'm very proud of, and one for the memory.
What do you think about for those 14 days?
Yeah, I tell you, well, a part of it was that we'd fielded for 1 2/3 days before I even went into bat. The Warriors had put on 500 and plenty. Ashwell Prince got a big 100, and a number of other guys. So I was virtually on the field the entire game, barring the last couple of overs on day 4 after I got out before it rained. But yeah, your mind just goes into. I mean, athletes always talk about being in that zone, and I think for the large part it was. I mean, I can't remember large parts of that innings. Obviously you sort of remember a couple of the milestones and a couple of things as you go along, but certainly it was really pretty blurred. And I mean, I certainly enjoyed the tussle. I mean, it was quite a good bowling attack that day. Makai Antini, Lonrowa Sotsobe, Rusty Turon, Johan Buerta. Wow. So it certainly had the tussle. Not to build it up, but it was nice that you did it against an attack like that. That at least it wasn't against anyone. So that was pretty cool. But
long innings like that are often, was there a bit of luck? Was it chanceless, or were there a couple of times where you could have gone out? Can you remember? I mean,
yeah, I can't remember any chances. I don't think so. I just remember, I was not out just over 200 going into the last day, and the plan was we were going to declare overnight and try and set up a game. And literally 20 minutes before we were going to go back on, Dave Nosworthy, who was coach, said no, they're not interested in setting up a game. We're not declaring on you. And I thought, gee, what an opportunity! I've never had that where they're not going to declare. He said just go and bat. And yeah, gee, I mean, shared a partnership with Tommy Kelly that day. He also got a big 100, and yeah, I mean, he was ever the character out there. So I think I probably got about 20 runs from overthrows from frustrated fielders trying to run him out at the non-strikers end. So yeah, it was probably more like 370 off my bat and 20 overthrows, but we'll take them.
Oh, it remains an extraordinary innings for so many reasons, but possibly there is one other that you'll remember even more fondly. Take us back to that long overdue Test debut. And like Alan and I both thought you should have been picked in Standard 7, but instead it was a few years later than that. 16 seasons in, out you go against a very strong England team, and you get 100 on debut. Talk us through the memories of such a special occasion.
Yeah, certainly what dreams are made of. I mean, I suppose it spoke to my perseverance and that not giving up. I could have easily have thrown it in or what have you, but to get my debut even at that age, and I was more than aware that it was the last Test match of the summer. It was one of those, you've been picked off some good form, and if it doesn't go well, you're probably one of those one Test wonders who plays one Test and the next season rolls around and they pick the next young guy. So I actually went out there and said, I'm just going to enjoy this. Probably be my only Test. And in a way, it probably took a little bit of pressure off myself. I mean, you've spoken a lot about my old man today, but I mean, the call he gave me before my debut actually just settled the nerves, if there were any, when he said, my boy, if you just don't get out first ball for naught on your debut, you've done better than me. He obviously got out first ball of his Test debut. So there wasn't much to beat there, when the first one from Jimmy Anderson got flicked through mid-wicket. I thought, oh, there we go. There's a win. Cause the old man's always rubbed my nose in it, I'll score a century, and he used to phone me and say, well done, my boy, that's your 30th first class 100, only 34 to go to reach Dad, so it was nice to have one where you could say, Dad, at least I survived 2 balls in my Test debut. So no, but very special. I mean, to have my family and loved ones all there to watch it. I think they probably appreciated that hard work that I put into it, and it was an incredible a couple of hours out there playing against a good England side, and I mean, I suppose it's one of those things where like I said, that one Test match is what you really played for, and then once you'd had one, then you want more, you're never satisfied. So I mean, I ended up playing 11 Tests, less than I probably would have liked, but I mean, if I think back, one was always going to be good enough for me. So to make that one count, that was great.
Now, you faced the first pink ball as a South African batsman. Your dad faced the first white ball in ODI cricket. So it's quite a nice little... Is that true? I've read that somewhere.
There is some devil in the detail, I think. I can't remember it offhand, but I was the first pink one. Then there was... I think the first ODI South Africa played was actually played with a red ball with white clothes. Or there was some technicality around that. But yeah, there's some sort of stat to that.
That's great. Did you always open at school as well? Was that always your position?
Yeah, pretty much. 3 also early on. I was actually a wicket keeper in primary school. So but once I gave up those gloves, then I started opening, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, if I think back now, I was probably crazy to try and open at the Wanderers. Probably should have settled in there at number 5 and made my career far more enjoyable. Have a few less bruises in the ribs and what have you. But I suppose we roll with the punches.
Oh, well, you managed to combine cricketing excellence with being something of an academic, so I hear from your old school masters. And so that's where we're going to take you into a test of the intellectual. Before we do that, Alan, have we got one more special guest this week?
I think we do, actually. He should be arriving at any moment. Let me go.
You go and grab our final guest. And while we do that, I'm going to take you into this week's quiz. Now, we generally have a horrendous record here, Stephen. I think Darren Gough managed 4 out of 5, and Paul Adams managed 3.5. Other than that, I think Vernon Philander got 1. Chris Morris got 1.5. Generally, the expectations are low here, and we tailor the quiz to the person involved. So yours is all about cooks, which I'm quite excited about. 5 questions. Are you ready to go?
Okay. Probably embarrassed myself horribly, but let's go for it.
All right. Nice, simple one to start you off with. Who in this picture is the cook synonymous with the world of travel?
I'm going to go Captain James Cook.
Captain James Cook would probably be the world of adventure. This is specifically travel. I'm afraid it's Thomas Cook, who now runs one of the world's great travel spaces. All right, but a reasonable go. Question number 2. The person in question is called Stu Cook. I would like to know, Stu Cook plays bass for a band that wondered if you'd ever seen the rain. What's the name of that band?
Oh, music. I should get this. No, pass.
I want to know, have you ever seen rain?
I can hear it. I can hear it playing in my head, but I don't know who.
Oh dear. I've actually emceed these guys on stage event in the UK. Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Okay, yep.
All right, you'll be getting a phone call for Jimmy for that one. We're 2 down. Question number 3. Now, this is one you really should get. Which cook in question, you'll see him in photo now, is one of the most powerful people in IT?
Tim Cook.
Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. We are 1 out of 3. Is this the great fight back South African cricket fans are hoping for tonight? Right, question number 4. Paul Cook, who's now in question. He's a drummer. He played for which band intent on creating anarchy in the UK?
No, I've got no clue. I'm not even going to hazard a guess there. Sorry, the music knowledge is not great, Dan. You've done me in with the music questions.
All right, it's a band called the Sex Pistols. Anarchy in the UK. All right, again, ask you that about that one. All right, here's your last one. You're 1 from 4. 2 from 5 is 40%. That's a pass mark with merit in South African maths. So you could still scrape through here. And is this head versus heart? I'm not sure. Who has got the highest career first-class batting average? Is it Alistair Cook or Jimmy Cook?
Highest first-class batting average. I'm going to go for my old man. I reckon my old man's, yeah.
All right. Well, you probably had to go either way. So Alistair Cook finished with a first-class average of 47.79, which is exceptional. Jimmy Cook finished with an average of 50.58.
50 and a little bit, yeah.
Oh, there we go. All right, 2 out of 5. Congratulations. Look, you've done a lot better than Vernon Philander, Chris Morris, JP Dermody. You didn't beat Darren Gough, but generally done pretty well. And you smashed Paul Harris. I think Paul Harris got 0. So great effort there. Congratulations. Before we let you go and get back on the phone to the Members Council or whatever else the rest of tonight holds for you, we've got one very, very special guest, and I think he could be quite an ally, quite an asset in your forthgoing cricket negotiations. Maybe bring him on board to help you out. He is the Life Vice President of the Griqualand North Scorers and Umpires Association. Please welcome to Two Full Tosses one other very special guest, Meneer Johan van der Walt.
Baie dankie, Daniel. Thank you. It's lovely. Let's pluck some my teeth. It's lovely to see you, Meneer Cook. I'm a great fan. You know, I watched all of your stuff, and to be now in your presence, even if it's only digital, don't laugh for me, Popo. Please give me a chance as well. You know, to be in the presence of someone who was knighted in the services of cricket, and to have had such a wonderful career for England over so many years. You know what I mean? It's not often that we get to speak with someone so beautifully English and who represents all that is the United Kingdom. Tell me about your career.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved being a left-handed opening batsman for England. You know.
Hold on. Is it not? Jammer. No, sorry. You're Stephen Cook, aren't you? I'm so sorry. You're quite right. This is deeply embarrassing. All right. Well, keep going. Tell us about being a left-handed batsman. It's going to be interesting either way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, who'd want to be a right-handed opening batsman anyway? I mean, you know, you don't have to deal with that rough outside the left-handers off stump. I mean, you know, you keep getting given out, not out LBW all the time. I mean, yeah, I'd much rather be left-handed. I mean, even if that juke ball does swing around a little bit.
I like your thinking. That are exactly right. Look, now listen for me. You are one of my heroes. It's fantastic to see you. What are you doing now, Popo? Because there you were playing cricket. I think it took you 19 seasons to get that 390. Finally, you finished the innings. They could pick you for South Africa. There you were. You did so marvelously well. No, what gebeur nou met Stefan Cook? Can you have your cook? Do you still eat it? What happens? Where are you in the world?
Yeah, I'm still involved in cricket, just not in the actual playing side. I'm now working with SACA, the Players Association.
SACA,
cricket
SACA
operations and playing.
Oh no, sorry,
SACA.
No, it's different. Yeah, no, I misunderstood for yourself.
Yeah,
you must maybe it's your teeth.
Yeah, with SACA, with the Players Association. So yeah, trying to add back some value into the playing space, looking after the game, looking after the players, and yeah, trying to navigate for the game for the future. So yeah, thoroughly enjoying that. Yeah, I mean, passionately love the game of cricket, but yeah, certainly the playing days are over now. So yeah, that's what keeps me busy. Living in Cape Town, so yeah, I've got that mountain and all that to look at. So yeah, a big departure from the days of the Wanderers.
That is lekker. That's nice to hear, giving back to the game. All right, we're going to go into a little section now with quick fire questions. You don't think for yourself, okay? I can't imagine this is going to be difficult because I don't see you thinking a lot. So here we go. Don't take it personal. It's just what my observations are. All right, are you ready? Some quick fire questions. You just say whatever answer of the two. You don't give an explanation for yourself. Okay. For you, hitting a straight drive through mid-off or through mid-on?
Mid-on.
Which is good on. An 8-hour century or an 18-minute 40?
18-minute 40, that'd be great.
It's never going to happen. Dream on.
Not to me.
In terms of cooks, Gordon Ramsay or Jamie Olivier?
Yeah, Jamie Olivier. Yeah, the guy from the Free State. Yeah.
Beautiful. Fantastic player, I tell you that. In terms of really getting down in front of the wicket and holding your own, you shouldn't hold other people's. It gets very rude. Rahul Dravid or Chandra Poole?
Rahul Dravid for me.
Oh, always. 100 of a 10-fer, because you used to turn your arm over. I saw for you. Which would you prefer?
Oh, 10-fer, any day of the week. Gee whiz, that'd be unbelievable.
What were your best bowling figures? Do you know offhand?
I got 3 wickets once. I don't know. I feel sorry for those poor gents.
I can't even believe that happened. Bliksem. All right. For you, in terms of cooking, a rack of veal with truffle gravy and scalloped potatoes, or a braai?
I'll go for a braai. Thank you very much.
There's no arguments there. Beautiful. Okay. MasterChef UK or MasterChef Australia?
Australia?
No, we never choose Australia on this show. Bliksem, you've now let yourself down and the whole family. Sis, man. You moet concentreer, Popo. All right, here we go. In terms of traffic, the Suez Canal or the N1 to Pretoria on a Friday afternoon?
Especially with the light through Suez Canal is going to be much quicker.
Much quicker is a good answer. Now you're thinking. Okay. Clive Rice of Graham Smith as captain. Ooh. Ooh.
Graham Smith.
Ooh. Okay.
I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble either way. There. That's
You're in trouble either way. You really are. Okay. And then finally, a 40-ball 100, or a 40-ball 100 for you, or your dad is dropped by Capel Dev at first slip in his test debut. We don't know what happens the next ball, but he's dropped at first slip on his test debut. What do you want? You get to choose. A 40-ball 100 for you. Beautiful. Ooh, but your dad dropped at first slip.
No, it was Dad's problem that he nicked it. I'm taking the 40-ball 100.
That is an answer I like very much.
I mean, he must leave outside the off stump there. I mean, you don't fend it a wide one early on.
He was falling. He didn't have the head over the ball, and then he played. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Can you remember the bowler, by the way? Do you remember the bowler who took that wicket?
Yeah, Kapil Dev, caught Tendulkar of Kapil Dev.
No, it wasn't Kapil Dev bowling. It was Manoj Prabhakar, wasn't it? I think it were. Oh, no, Kapil Dev bowled it. No, Manoj. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. This is beautiful. I could talk for you all day, but I'm busy. I've got things to do. This has been a great honoration, honestly, Alistair. And thank you so much for this time. It's beautiful. Ek moet nou gaan. All right. Daniel is daar. Ek is nou klaar met die voetbal.
There we go. That's got to be one of the more precious interviews you've had the chance to do in your career, Stephen.
Beautiful, Dan. Absolutely brilliant. That's outstanding.
All right. Without dragging you into the muck and mire of politics before we let you rush off to bed, do you feel optimistic that we've got a brighter cricketing horizon to look forward to?
I absolutely do. In all seriousness, Dan, I think we've got a lot of good people who've got the game at heart in this country. Yes, we've got our problems. We've still got incredible talent throughout this country, in all the regions. And if we can string it together and make a few tweaks, it's not even massive overhauls. It's a few tweaks here and there, with enough people with the desire to get it right. I absolutely think we can get back to the heights where we want to be. And as I say, yeah, they're good people. I see them every day. That they're trying their utmost, and one or two things go away, and we can be there. I mean, you mentioned at the top of the show, the women. I mean, they're showing what can be done, what can be achieved. That tour of India has been fantastic, and we just got to keep going from strength to strength with that. And but yeah, I certainly am optimistic. I'm not certainly taking away from the problems that we've got, but I'm quietly optimistic. I'm a firm believer in this game is bigger than all of us, and this game will persevere above all.
It's bigger than probably all of us, with the exception of Jeremy Fredericks. That would probably be the only exception we'd make to that particular observation. But otherwise, we'll agree with you wholeheartedly. And Alan, while you were away briefly, we had a guest, Johan van der Walt, who I know informally from social circles. But when Stephen came back on, he has endorsed our candidacy for joint emperors for life of Cricket South Africa and our benign dictatorship. So, Stephen, thank you for that endorsement. And I'm glad you share our vision for taking cricket forward in the direction which we look back on so fondly.
No, I think you guys will do a great job. I think that's definitely the way to go.
Stephen Cook, as much as we adored you, well, mainly Alan, I was always a Stephen Cook man myself as a failed opener, and so it's been an enormous pleasure and a great honor having you on the show. I know we've kept you up quite late because it's still late January in Cape Town, so thank you for that. But enjoy the rest of the evening, and most importantly, good luck with the South African cricket landscape. I know quietly you'll be having a steering hand on guiding us back to calmer waters, and good luck with that.
Oh, Dan, thanks for having me. It was great fun. Really good. Yeah, I love what you guys have done there, and keep doing it. Good entertainment. Sometimes we get way too serious about what we do. It's good to see the light side of things. So brilliant.
Glad you appreciate it. Stephen Cook, thank you. Yeah, I know you're obsessed with Jimmy. I know you've called 4 of your 3 daughters Jimmy, but I'm sorry, I'm a Stephen man.
I got to tell you, having now spent some time with him, isn't it nice to know that the dad who was a good guy, here's another good guy, and it feels like the players and as he suggested, the Cricket South Africa is in a good place, but we're in the hands of another good guy. That's got to be the good news from this Monday night. What a pleasure.
Look, it would have been perfect if he told us he was going to grow the moustache. I don't think we must lose hope, though. I think we can still get that going, and I'm really, really excited about
I
it.
just thought we'd still be at home. I thought we'd see Jimmy. Honestly, I kept looking and said, was Jimmy going to pass? But no. So I didn't know he's in Cape Town. It's ridiculous. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have. Yes, exactly.
All right. Quick thank you to Michelle Cavarnos, who's been watching, Eric Scoble, who's been watching as well, using somebody else's Wi-Fi password from next door, as well as a host of other guests, Denise watching, and Leanne, and I think Jade was watching earlier as well. So big thank you to all of you. We will see you back again next week. And we're looking, I think next week might be the week, mainly because he's been WhatsApping me all week long. We might see Kevin Peterson next week as the guest. So we're waiting to see what happens there. Look, it's a step down from Stephen Cook in terms of that electrifying, flamboyant approach to life in Greece. But come what may, we shall take it on the chin and give 110% as long as we get the rub of the ball and the bounce of the green, etc., etc. Alan Committie, a pleasure as always. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And we'll see you back again next week on Two Full Tossers.
Cheers.